Our Eastern Mediterranean cruise was a nice trip. We had a good weather. We started off in Venice, traveled down to Dubrovnik and other places. Here in Venice, of course, the famous canals, St. Marcus Square. There, the ladies were enjoying the morning. We stayed right in the center of the Venice. Got up early in the morning, got out before the crowds in St. Marcus Square. It floods there in Venice. You can see the water that had come in, and ladies getting their feet in the water. So had a great time. This little guy had fun with the pigeons. You're not supposed to do this, and the ladies did it too. But they had a good time, got some food, and gave them to the pigeons. And we got to go in way up into that tower at one point in St. Marcus. And here's a view from the seashore, or the canal. And looking down as we were at the top, so many photo ops in Venice. Wonderful, wonderful. Quiet canals everywhere. Nice place to walk around. And the streets are narrow, as Kitty shows here. We saw these masks at one little shop. They were beautiful. Just look at the beauty in those things. So we continued on the famous bridge across the canal, the boat going under. The gondolas early in the morning, getting just tossed around by the sea. Beautiful, beautiful things to see. And still quiet in the morning. And in the evening, we got to go on one of those gondolas in the rain, but we had a great time. As we were leaving Venice on the cruise ship, we had a good view from our window as we headed out into the Adriatic Sea. And some of the views along the way, very nice. And our first port after Venice was Dubrovnik, Croatia, and we got to go into this wall. This place was a surprise. This wall goes along the town, the city, and some amazing views of the sea coast as we walked around. You had to pay to go up these stairs because it pays for maintenance and taking care of the place. So we were not surprised. Some good views as we walked along the Bell, looking down at the old city. Amazing. We were surprised. There had been a war there, and these are the bullet holes. Fortunately, they didn't destroy anything. Barbie enjoying the weather from the top, looking down here onto the city where we started, and we'll be going back down shortly. And there we are, down on the street. More and more people were arriving, and here's one of the tourists with a cat. Corfu was another stop afterwards, and it wasn't the most scenic of our places that we saw, but we got to walk. We were sort of lost for a while. We tried to get some help from people, and we finally found our way around. Got to the way to the top of that structure here, this old thing, and we found a secret entrance, sort of, as we climbed up. We do get to the top up there eventually, and it's not a good hair day, but it was remarkable, and we had a good time. In the evening, as we left, there was a sunset, and we headed off to Katakalon. This is where you start a tour on a bus to Olympia, the site of the first Olympics. We got to go inside and run on the track. Barbie and Kitty are running here, and I'm following along with the cameras. And some of the old ruins from the famous Olympic site. These guys are interesting. And some more, this is inside one of the museums. They had protected stuff. We saw a lot of vases on our trip, and they were found in this helmet. I don't know what that was, a bird, I suppose. And we can tell that's the representation of a lion. Glass vase. The glass is hard to protect and preserve. Always time for lunch as we go back to the port, ready to get on the cruise ship. Headed off then to Athens. And we got into the town, and we climbed up into the Parthenon area, heading on up. into the Acropolis and the Parthenon. There it is, still under repairs. They got to keep the place up, up. And here's the an example of the architecture that was an example. You're not supposed to touch things. You're going to get arrested there, ladies. Well, not really. And looking down from the Acropolis onto the old market, and then we walk down there, ancient Panantheic Road, and there's a sort of a modern area, well, modern for Greece, and these guys come around. They don't just entertain you. They want you to give them some money. And of course, you can get to buy a lot of stuff, and the little cat has a nice spot. Mykonos, this was another surprise. It's really beautiful. Looking up at the top, everything's in rocks. Heading over to Delos on a little boat. We get out there, a very ancient market area, trading area. And another bad hair day. Sorry, Mickey. And, oh, this is a place where you could sit and view entertainment. The lions, the Delos lions, well, these are replicas. The original ones here are inside the museum for their protection. They don't look like lions. Looking down, there's a group from a tour bus down there on the left. And the windmills as we got up to the upper areas of the town. Beautiful flowers. This was in the late fall or almost winter, but it was still nice. The bells looking up. Such amazing architecture. Such beautiful, beautiful sights. And this cat, I don't think he was named Mykonos, but he seemed to think he owned the place. Some more interesting metallic work. The pelican is well known, and there's not time to tell more about him. Heading over to Ephesus, we had a private tour. Our guide was on the left. She took us all around. We had a nice time in our van getting to see Ephesus. It does get crowded there. We started early in the morning, but by the time we got through a part of the town, it was getting pretty busy. These are outdoors, and that's in Latin, says something, or Greek, I don't know. And he thinks he owns the place, and he has a nice lady to pet him for a little bit. We got to go inside a structure that's not open to large tour buses, so our small group was permitted to come inside. These aren't replicas. These are the original things that were there and really recently uncovered from the excavations, and it was quite a sight. And early Christian symbols of some sort. Here's a stadium where St. Paul preached a long time ago. Had a little humor as we left the place. Genuine fake watches. Yes, we had to get some. No, we did. Roads, another stop. Sorry if we go fast. It's not enough time to give you much info on all these places. You got to make a trip there yourself. It's nice with the cruise ship though to get there. This pigeon, found a nice way to get something to drink. Some of the walls, the ancient walls of the structures. Again, they're touching things. Come on, ladies. Well, lions are popular inside one of the buildings and roads that we got to go up. And the hair on this lady was interesting. It still had an original touch. And the light coming through that window, I thought that made quite a photo. Some stuff inside another museum. We got to go in a lot of them. Dolphins at the port. Off to Santorini. It's blown up by a volcanic eruption a long time ago. The cruise ship unloaded and we had to stand in line to go up to the top. Looking down after we're there. That blue, I think, is keep away bugs or birds or something. I think it looks like the sky, and I'm not quite sure, but it sure is pretty. Hills. We did get a tour around this island too. We had arranged for van to take us. So we'll get the ladies' feet in the water there. Inside the ladies' residence or place she owned, it was built out of the lava rock inside of the volcanic island. Very pretty in there, and that's the doorway into it from a little court. And looking at how it sets into the volcanic rock. More flowers, wonderful flowers. There is a museum there, and we got to go in. It was buried, contained buried stuff that had been uncovered from an excavation. It was a misty day, but a nice day with for some photo ops. Another windmill up there. Off we go to Naples, and then from there to Pompeii. It's looking down from the cruise ship onto the area of Naples that we were at. We had to walk to the train. You could take a cruise ship tour, but we took our own visit on the train out to Pompeii. This is the station at Pompeii, where we bought our tickets and got to go in. It was a nice day there too, so we got to look at Mount Vesuvius. It erupted in 78 AD. It had covered up the town with ash and was buried until about a couple hundred years ago. The people discovered it. You can walk across the street on those steps to keep your feet dry when it's raining. Looking inside some of the areas, they're well preserved, considering they survived the volcanic eruption. The theater where folks could watch performances, and there's a courtyard into one of the living areas. This was a bigger stadium where sporting events, or as you could call them, gladiators, I suppose, would perform for the spectators. You walked into it and out of it through a place like this. Some of the casts of the people that were killed there during the eruption, covered with the ash, and the cavities were filled with plaster later, so you could see how it happened. In Rome, the Colosseum was certainly a place to go, and from there into the old Forum on the Appian Road here. The Romans traveled across Italy on that road. Looking up at the remains, amazing what the Romans could do. Inside the Colosseum in the hallway where you would walk to your seats, looking down from there into the Forum, an amazing view. The Pantheon, quite a structure. It's one of the oldest and biggest Roman. Here's the Trevi Fountain without crowds, another area nearby that we got to for a good part of the day. St. Peter's, it was getting busy there, as you can see, but we waited our turn, got to go inside and see the wonderful artwork, and looking up at the inside the dome. The Swiss guards in their colorful uniforms. The Vatican Museum, most of the day spent there. We could have spent more time. At the end of the day, sitting on the Spanish Steps as the sun was setting, Kitty and Barbie and Mickey. We got to see the catacombs. Not many places to take pictures inside. And one of our last days at Ostia Antica. Raining, but it does keep the crowds away. We got pretty wet, but and it's an amazing place, very similar to Pompeii, in some ways even better. Look at the stuff you can see in here, and got it pretty much to ourselves that day. Bad weather. Quite a story there, no time for it. And that was our last day, and we appreciate having the opportunity to share it with you. It's the best way to cruise and see everything in the Eastern Mediterranean. Unless you're wealthy, you couldn't go to all those places except on a cruise ship affordably. So thanks for watching, and see you on the next trip.